Well, hello, everybody. We are live, and today I am excited to have Jesse Fundora of Seabourn Ultra Luxury Resorts at Sea with me, and I will be introducing him in just a second. But before I do, I'll take care of a little bit of a housekeeping, which is I want to make an announcement that tomorrow I'm going to have a special edition live because we're going to skip next week being Thanksgiving. And I'm not going to tell you what tomorrow is going to be about. You're going to have to show up and find out for yourself. It'll be at 4 p.m. also tomorrow. So show up and find out about that. As always, I want to invite you to become a Cline and Company Insider, which you do by going to the website that you see scrolling across the bottom here and put your name and your email address in, and I'll be sending you all kinds of interesting information. So without further ado, Jesse, we are very, very glad to have you here today. And I would like you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got into the cruise industry.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Robin, and hello to everyone. Well, it's an interesting story. So I have been with Seabourn for about almost 2 years now, but actually I started in the cruise industry in the late 90s. I lived down here in Miami, and a friend of mine came to me when Cunard, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, moved down to the Miami area and said to me, so there's a cruise line coming down. Would you like to apply? And I said, Cunard, are they new? And no, they've been around for quite
Yeah,
some
a little
time,
while.
over 100 years. And I started at Cunard, and we eventually merged with Seabourn. So you're familiar with the original Seabourn product, the Pride, Spirit, and Legend, back in the late 90s to early 2000s. And here I am again. I can't get away. Once it's in your blood, it's in your blood.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, and what a company to be with. I am so impressed with all of the itineraries and the ships and the product and everything. And I can't wait to dig in and talk about that and show everybody what you have to offer. I have some friends that have sailed with you and just absolutely rave and love it. So we'll show your screen here, and I'm going to hide. Well, I may not be able to hide us because I have lost my little thing at the bottom that will make us still be able to talk. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to do this with us on the screen here. Let me arrange it so that it looks a little better, though. Okay, let's try it that way. So not a huge screen, but we're going to have to live with it. So, all right. So go ahead.
Can you see clearly here?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes,
Well,
looks great.
this is a great opportunity because Seabourn is an incredible experience. And during the course of this quick presentation, talk a little bit about where the ships are now. We'll talk about the product itself. I'll update you on the ships, the interiors, what's available for 21. Also, our expedition vessel that currently being built. We'll talk about some of those itineraries, and then of course we'll end it with some fantastic promotions that will be available to all of our guests. So we'll start now, and of course I got a little note here. Here we go. So let's start off really where ships are now. So the elephant in the room is obviously that no one is sailing at this point. We have paused our 5 ships right now. The Odyssey, the Ovation, the Quest, the Sojourn, and the Encore have been paused until basically the April-May timeframe. Right now, the Seabourn Odyssey is in the Caribbean, and she's been only paused until of January, but we're not quite sure if she will actually have a Caribbean season at this point. So stay tuned for that. Make sure that you reach out to Robin to make sure that you are aware of what is going on in the near future, frankly. So let's talk about our fleet. So we have the newest fleet in the ultra luxury market. And basically what that means, first vessel was built in 2009. That's a Seabourn Odyssey. And following that, and the Quest. Now, those 3 ships are identical. So they are 229 suites, 458 guest capacity. 90% of those suites have verandas. We do not have any inside suites on board Seabourn, so it's very important to know. Most recently, in 2016, we went a little bit larger with the Seabourn and the Ovation in 2018. And those two are sister ships with 300 suites, 600 guests. Now, what I can tell you is that although they are a bit larger, this is those two vessels are 100% verandas. So
Oh,
we have
wow.
no windows here. Yeah, absolutely. We wanted to
Wow.
ensure that all of our guests on our newest vessels and our newest ships would have all access to incredible breezes and incredible views from their balconies or their
Sounds good to
verandas.
me.
I'm ready too, I tell you. And also, if you've been on Seabourn, you probably also know that the layout of the ships, really of all five of them, is the same. So if you've been on the Odyssey, you've basically been on the Sojourn and the Quest, and the Encore and the Ovation. All of our public rooms and our suites are in the same area, except it's a little bit larger. So we do have an extra deck, and some of the public rooms are larger. But I bring that up because a lot of our past guests love Seabourn because when they return, it's like coming back home. They don't have to find their way around if they're on the Sojourn or if they're on another ship that they haven't sailed on before. And I think that's very important.
Hmm.
We are also currently, as I mentioned, building the Seabourn Venture, and that is an expedition ship that is due originally to debut in July
Uh-huh.
2021. It's being built in Italy, so due to the quarantines earlier this year, the delivery date was pushed back to December. So
Right.
we anticipate that we will have her December 1st.
Uh-huh.
And that is an incredible 132 suites, 264 guests, all veranda. And we'll
Wow.
talk a little bit more about the venture. Then I'm happy to say that we cut the steel 2 months ago on a second expedition vessel,
Ooh.
which right now we're calling them Futureborn. Actual
Okay.
name for it just yet. But this will be an identical ship to the venture. Will also add to the expedition fleet that
Okay.
we are, kind of planning here. I think expedition is the next level of travel, and you probably know that.
Well, and that's
So,
let me just
sure.
say real quick, interrupt a little bit there that
Mhm.
I definitely have noticed that trend in cruising or yachting, however you want to put it. I know that depends on the number of people on board, but that expedition has really gotten to be very popular and really adds an extra dynamic rather than the just sort of get on, sail, relax. You get to have all of that, but have some fabulous adventures as well. So I'm really excited to hear more about that as we go along.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We right now do not have any official health and safety protocols in place simply because the ships are not sailing. So
Hmm.
we have been working in hand with the CDC, with the World Health Organization, with scientists, just wanting to make sure that when we do get back to service, that
Right.
really safety is our top priority for the guests, the crew, and we want to ensure that that is all up to date. So come out with the official protocols, we will make sure to advise all of our travel partners, and hopefully it'll be soon, because if it's soon, that means they will be sailing in the very near future. So some of the Seabourn all inclusive, and some of what makes us different than some of our competitors, first and foremost, is as I mentioned, we have the newest fleet in the ultra luxury market. Have some of the smaller ships, and as many of you know, when you're talking about luxury, really the smaller you go, the more intimate setting, the better service. The cuisine tends to be better as well when you're on
Hmm.
a smaller ship, when almost a 1-to-1 guest to passenger ratio. So we definitely do have an advantage. I live in Miami down here, and I've had really the pleasure of visiting multiple clubs, and I can tell you that the of a country club, of a yacht club, is very similar to the Seabourn experience. It's we have one formal night, so and that's only in the main dining room, so we're not
Hmm.
forcing guests to be formal the entire time, and it
Right.
just feels very, very relaxed on board. All of our ships. We also have, just a touch on a couple of things here. So complimentary premium spirits. All of the bars are open bar. We also have a little mini bar set up in all of from window suites all the way to the owners and the Winter Garden suite, the largest, and those are replenished. So once the spirits are towards the end, your suite stewardess will come in and replenish them. So you're never too far away from a drink if you to have it.
Yeah.
Tipping is neither required nor is it accepted. So I think that also brings an additional level where you don't have to worry if you do meet some other guests. And part of cruising is really it's the ship, it's the itinerary, but it's also the guest traveling with.
Yes.
So when you don't have to tip and you can and really just sit at the bar, meet some incredible people from around the world and not have that uncomfortable feeling about, well, who's going to pay or do
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
So we've perfected that. We also have some fantastic partnerships. For example, Chef Thomas Culler, that we'll talk about
Mm-hmm.
in a minute. We also have Ventures by Seabourn, which is our optional shore excursions that's available on all of our voyages. We have a partnership with UNESCO. If you're into history, we visit well over UNESCO sites
Wow.
and also give back. So when
Mm-hmm.
our guests purchase excursion that includes a UNESCO site, we give a part of that monies back to make sure that we maintain those sites. And to date, we've given well over $1 million to UNESCO in the time that we've been their partner. So I think that's also very
Yeah,
important.
it is. It's very important, and I love the history aspect of it all. I think that for me, that's one of the most important things about travel, and what originally turned me onto it was I was a history major in college, and whether I was loved history or loved travel because of history or vice versa, I'm not sure, but it all goes together so well. So I'm glad to know that's a big part of it.
It is, absolutely. We also have a great partnership with Dr. Andrew Weil that we'll talk about and Sir Tim Rice. So we really do offer a complete experience on Seabourn for the ultra luxury guest. We'll also talk about some of our suites now. So as I mentioned, we have a couple ocean view, but the vast majority of the suites are veranda suites.
Mhm.
And typically they're about 100 square feet plus the veranda, which is anywhere between 40 and 50 square feet, depending on the category. So it's quite large. Um, Really, what I love the most about the suites are the bathrooms. I have to say, if you look at the top right there, that is the typical bathroom on either an ocean view or a veranda. You have double sinks. You have a separate tub and shower. It's a beautiful marble bathroom. It really is. It looks picture and it really is quite large, I have to say, and it just it's for the comfort of our guests.
Yeah.
We also use molten brown as our bath
Mm-hmm.
amenity, of
Nice.
course.
Very nice. Yes, I
We've
love
been
that.
we've been using molten brown since I was at Seabourn originally, almost 20 years ago. So we
Oh,
have a
wow. Okay.
fantastic partnership with
Great.
molten brown. Now we realize some guests just need a bit more space, and we can those guests by offering a penthouse suite or a spa suite. Now here you're talking about 430 to 460 square feet, so it is a bit larger. You'll
Mm-hmm.
also notice that the penthouse suites have that little between the bedroom and the
Mm-hmm.
area. So if someone's had a rough night and they want to sleep in a little bit, those doors can close, the curtains can close in, you can become all nice and comfy while your partner can be outside in the suite, maybe having an incredible room service, breakfast, the case, or
Great.
up in the colonnade. And let me just add this. So, I know that dining at the Thomas Keller Grill and our main restaurants, fantastic experience, but the room service experience was fantastic. I hadn't been on a luxury vessel really since for quite some time before I started at Seabourn, and I have to tell you a quick story. As I the first morning, I put a card outside for breakfast, and I'd forgotten. Typically, on some of the other vessels, when knock on your door, they drop off the plates and they
Right.
leave, and that was really the mind frame that I had. So the door, the gentleman rings the doorbell because it's not even a knock. I get up and he comes in and I was half asleep, and it's not, you don't just drop the trays. We have an actual table. So
Mm-hmm.
the starts setting up the table and he puts the fine linens and he put, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is really for breakfast. I can't believe this.
Yeah.
And I really had forgotten how the luxury experiences
Mm.
on Seabourn. But
Yep.
anyway, I digress there. So
Well,
on the
but
penthouse,
once you do that, you're not going back. I mean, it's
oh
like,
no, you
it's
don't. You're
for,
gonna go on.
yeah.
No,
It's
no,
like, I'm
no.
not doing it the other way again.
Breakfast multiple times in my suite. I got to tell you. So the penthouse spa suites are a little bit larger and they're fewer. So the advantage here is that if you're into spas, if you're going out to Arizona, or if
Right.
you're doing some fabulous spas around the world, we have a fantastic spa, but we have these spa suites that are just on top of the spa area. So you actually have to go in through the spa to get to these suites. So you can these penthouse suites. So you can envision as you're walking in, you have this incredible aroma that's just greeting you as you come out of your suite or as you go in. It really is a fantastic area. And we also have guests that are in the penthouse spa suite have access to the serene area, which is an area that typically is at additional cost. It's in the spa, but guests for the penthouse spa suites will have access here. So there's a couple of amenities that we're able to offer.
Nice. Yeah.
We also have some larger premium suites. So we have anything from the owners to the signatures, or the largest, which is the Winter Garden. And these can go up to about 1,100 square feet. And as you see here, it's a kind of, so you have a bed, a dining room table area, dining room. You also have a wet bar that's available here. You have the master bedroom, bathrooms, you have a sitting area, and guests who are in these suites typically do cocktail parties. So you can absolutely set up a cocktail party for either someone, if you're in a group, you can host, or if you meet guests on board, which tends to happen quite a bit, you can offer a cocktail party before dinner in your suite, and we'll have a waiter come up and serve drinks.
Sounds
And
pretty
cocktail
nice to me.
and canapes. So one thing that we get a lot is it's a smaller ship. So what is there to do on board? And there are just so many things. The ship just offers so much. First off, we are in port most of the time. So the guests are typically off from the morning until the evening. But if you choose to stay on board, there are a lot of things. One is the Seabourn conversations. And these are really sessions with guest speakers from the art world, the history, the science, UNESCO as well. When I was in the Caribbean this past December, and I've been to the Caribbean many times, the day I was out, these conversations tend to happen in the daytime, but they're recorded. So I'd be able to come back to my suite in the evening and just go in and access the conversations and be able to watch it. So you never missed it.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it really is something. It was very special and very in depth. Again, it was a lot about the Caribbean I had no idea actually happened in the day. So I was very curious to see what these conversations were all about, and it was fantastic. We also have, if you notice, the back of the ship has a marina. So we marina days in the Caribbean. We also do, as well as Asia, we also do caviar in the surf. And you see a picture there on the right-hand side in the middle where the surf out, a tin of caviar is open, and champagne and caviar is served right there on a shoreside. And it's a very special experience that Seabourn originated years ago. We do the same thing in Alaska and Antarctica, but not in the water. We do them in the pool. We also have water sports as well. So we're able to drop the marina and offer water sports. So there really are a lot of things to do on board the ship.
Wow.
So Thomas Keller, here is the Thomas Keller Grill. This is on the larger vessel on the Encore. If you've been to the French Laundry, you're very lucky because it's hard to get a reservation there. But on Seabourn, you have a standing weekly reservation at Thomas Keller. So every 7 days, every opportunity to Keller. And should someone cancel, you can also put your name on the wait list to go back in and dine at Thomas Keller. I should also add that in the Colonnade, another one of our restaurants, we do have Thomas Keller nights. So if you only do Thomas Keller one time, you'll be able to enjoy his cuisine at the Colonnade as well.
Great.
So here's our spa at, this is on the Encore. We talked about Dr. Andrew Weil, has been on Oprah, has been on Dr. Oz, really living coach for the world, and we have a mindful living program that's available on board. We also do yoga, we do Tai Chi in the morning. We of course have an incredible spa menu, and I found myself giving back my money to the company as I was in the spa because it was fantastic.
That's right.
Absolutely. And then of course we have the Sir Tim Rice, which is really just, it's a night, it's an evening entertainment. And, as you know, Sir Tim Rice is the lyricist for The Lion King and for Evita. The way that this works is every evening we do the show, and it was about a 40-minute show, and just enough time for the go up to the club area. And in the club, we have a live bar, a live band. There's a bar. We have access to the second pool. So that's kind of the way that the flow works. It was really a lot to do.
Wow.
So we just
All
want to
right.
share these questions here because survey to some of our guests, just wanting to kind of feel things out a couple months ago to see where the guests were thinking about. And we had some surprising responses. So, for example, here if you were to travel on a cruise from now through 2022, what type of destinations would be most important to your selection? And probably not surprisingly, small port destinations that only small ships access.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. I mean, we are in the ports where most big ships take a shore excursion there. And on Seabourn, we're anchoring typically right off of many of these smaller ports.
Right.
So that wasn't too much of a surprise. This question here, if you choose to travel, which destination would be your preferred choice to take a voyage in the next 18 months? I think we had a misconception that guests want to stay very close to home and go to Mexico or maybe Canada opened up. But what we found in this is that guests are ready when the time is right to travel. Guests are ready to go back to what they originally planned, and Mediterranean is always on everyone's list. I mean, if
Yeah.
you haven't been, go. If you've been, you want to go again. There's so much to see and so much to enjoy, and that was our top choice. Under that was Northern Europe. So that was very significant for us, and part of the reason that we have our itineraries structured due for 2021. So let's talk a little bit about our Mediterranean and our Northern Europe itineraries for next year. Off here's here's the Mediterranean in 2021, over 5 port
Wow.
from everything. Islands all the way to Greek Isles and to Turkey. And what you don't see here is we also have a couple stops going back to Israel and to Cyprus, which will be the first time. And I'll show you some itineraries there.
Wow.
Most of our voyages tend to be 12, 14 days, but we do have a few 7-day departures. I wanted to highlight this itinerary. So this is a typical 7-day. This is from Barcelona to Rome. Fantastic ports here. Porto Veneti, the home port, Terra. You have to visit Cinque Terre. I mean, that is just, I can't even begin to explain. It's a given.
It's a given.
Can't even begin to explain how wonderful that is. We're also visiting Corsica here in this itinerary. If you have a little bit more time, take a look at this 14-day. So here you have a much more depth Western Mediterranean itinerary, including the Mallorca, Menorca, Portofino. You know, many ships don't visit Portofino, but we anchor just off of Portofino. Saint-Tropez. I mean, it is a unique itinerary, and I wanted to highlight how unique our itineraries are. This is probably one of my favorite. This is a 21-day, and this is from Venice to Athens. And here we're touching 7 countries. You have Italy, Croatia, Montenegro, Greece, Turkey, Cyprus, Israel. I mean, you know, the ship is right. The ship is spectacular, but the itinerary is really, I think, what pushes us over, really over the edge, and really gives us the advantage. I mean, think of Greece. A lot of people just think of Mykonos and there's so much more.
Exactly. Oh yeah, it's amazing. Yes, that's a fabulous itinerary. Okay, all right. So now we're switching.
We're switching over to northern. It's a little colder. I'm a Floridian, so it's very cold for me. But you know, you do want to take some vacation up here. Here in northern Europe, this is another fantastic itinerary with 100 ports.
Look at all the stops.
More of a cruise.
That's incredible. All the stops. I mean, the choices that just seem endless.
And here the voyages tend to be a bit longer because there's more distance to cover here than in some of the Mediterranean ports. But we do have a few sets that I'll show you here. So our 7 days that we have are going to St. Petersburg for 2 days. So this 7-day itinerary, and we're small enough to actually river and dock very close to the city in St. Petersburg. But if you're looking for something a little different, how about this 14-day, which is going up to Bordeaux, going up to Rotterdam, into London, from Lisbon to Amsterdam. Again, not the typical itinerary that you'd find on many ships, or particularly on some of the larger vessels. And then I had to add this one. This is 30 days, but I added this just the destination, you know, how far we go. So this from London to Reykjavik, here we are going obviously to Iceland, Greenland. We're going to the North Cape in Norway. I mean, again, this is just a fantastic
Oh.
to consider in 2021. And again, different, off the beaten path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now I just want to talk quickly about what could be many people's bucket list, and that's a world cruise. World cruise, Seabourn hasn't done a world cruise for over 7 years. We started to do our world cruise at the beginning of 2020. We had to stop in March, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
We were ramped up and ready to go for 2021, but we unfortunately had to pause that.
Sure.
So about 2 months ago, we announced 2022, and I can't tell you how much, I mean, we have gotten incredible amount of booking for 2020 simply because we haven't done the world cruise, and there's a lot of excitement. So if world cruise is on your bucket list, I mean, make sure that you are checking off all the items on your bucket list now. Don't wait. Because this year showed us.
That's exactly right. When people can go again, they are going to go in droves, and there are going to be people that are left out in the cold and are like, what happened? We're talking 2022, but yeah, it's gonna be big when everybody's ready to go, and that's exciting to see the world cruise on there. That makes me really happy.
We are excited to be able to offer the world cruise. 145 days from Los Angeles to Greece. And here there's a lot of amenities, but one of the amenities, of course, is an overnight at the Ritz-Carlton Marina del Rey. Our president, the night before the ship sails on January 11th, will host a grand dinner for full world cruise guests, so everyone can get to know each other before they embark on this
very nice
145 day trip. So, and then the list of ports you see here: 5 continents, 8 countries, 20 nights, multiple equator crossings, and international dateline crossings as well. But I realize that 145 days is not for everyone. So we do have, if you want to be part of the excitement of the world cruise for 20, we can offer you segments, and these segments are anywhere from 22 to 89 days. So you can start on the world cruise, but just a much shorter time. Full world cruise get multitude of amenities. So you'll see here, all of them, but there's business class air, shipboard credits. We secure the visas for all of our U.S. and Canadian residents.
Oh, that's nice.
Just a lot.
Yeah, that's a big deal. A lot, that's to make that many stops and have somebody do all that for you. That's a bonus. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
We want to make it as easy as possible for the guests and for our travel partners as well.
Yeah. That's great.
So if you decide to take a segment of the world cruise, not a problem. We also have a multitude of amenities for you as well, including if you take the leg that takes you to Ephesus. We do have an evening in Ephesus that we offer, and that's going to be a spectacular event. So great. This is every guest who's on the voyage at that time will have access to that. So we talked about the venture, and the Seabourn venture is our new experience. And we'll go briefly here, and potentially in the future we can do a presentation more venture about expedition. But just in general here, it's debuting in December of 21. As I mentioned, it's 264 guests. It's a P6 strengthened hull, which means that we can navigate through light ice, whether it's in the Arctic or Antarctic. We do have these incredible submarines that are available. We have 2 of them, and yes, we will serve champagne in these submarines in case anyone is wondering. And of course, this vessel will have a multitude of zodiacs, mountain bikes. We'll have everything that's necessary for a fantastic expedition experience. As I mentioned, she was scheduled for July. She's coming out in December, so we up with some itineraries, because in December she was scheduled to be in Antarctica of next year. So we've come up with some fantastic itineraries that will visit the Northern Lights, and these voyages begin in December of 2021, and they will be primarily from Copenhagen to Tromsø, going all the way up to the North Cape. So not many lines do this itinerary in the winter, so this will be a fantastic getaway and a way to see the Northern Lights. And I've also been told that there's a possibility to use our submarines here as well, so we can see some of those Viking wreckages.
Oh, wow. Now, that's interesting. Now, and it's to me, so I am not a cold weather person.
Hmm.
I'm always going towards sun and sand and warm water and, water toys and all that. But I looked at this one that looks like it sails over Christmas into New Year's, and Northern Lights are on my list. I have to say, I do it. And I was like,
Yes.
okay, that would be a good way to see the Northern Lights. I was like, I think I can do it like this. Yes.
If you want Northern Lights, you're gonna have to be cold for a little bit at least.
Exactly. But
That's
doing it
just
this way on the ship, I think I could manage.
absolutely. We're excited about those itineraries. And then you'll notice in July and moving forward, she will then go back to her normal that was scheduled for her, which would be going up to Svalbard for the polar bears. And so that's kind of where she'll be in the middle of 2021. And then eventually at the end of 22, she will be going back to Antarctica. We because she will be up in Norway, we had to have a ship down in Antarctica next year, and the
Hmm.
Quest will return. And the Quest has been doing Antarctica really for over 7 years,
Okay.
and this year was scheduled to be her last year. She was paused. It will be her official last year of
Okay.
doing itinerary. So
Okay.
I encourage you, if any interest here, the Quest has been successfully running this itinerary for a long time. So inquire about Antarctica for 21 and into.
Great.
We also have some what we call journeys, and these are pre and post land-based packages.
Hmm.
And this is basically an extension of the Seabourn experience. So we use quality, fantastic hotels. But what I love the most about this is that these tours go with a minimum of 2 guests. So if you have just 2 of you, you don't have to worry about, we didn't meet the minimum for the tour. 2 guests is the minimum, and 10 guests
Okay.
is the maximum.
Oh, wow. All
So
right.
we're not packing anybody or anything like that. These are nice,
Yeah.
small, fantastic
Intimate group.
excursions.
Yes.
Absolutely. One other thing I'd like to mention is our Seabourn Private Air program. Due to everything that's going on in the world, some guests may find it more appealing to take private air instead of commercial. And that
Absolutely.
is perfect. So working with you and you working with us, we can secure the right plane for them, whether it
Hmm.
be a jet for 2 or for a
Hmm.
family. Some people may say, well, a jet, but look at it this: if you come with a group, you split the cost, and I'm sure it'll be very when you're
Exactly.
talking about 5 or 10 guests versus 2. So this
Exactly.
is really a great way to just get the party started right. You will up at your home, take you to your airport. The caviar, I should mention that caviar, of course, is included on Seabourn 24 hours,
Nice.
no additional cost.
Yeah.
Also available on the charter flights as well, depending
Okay.
on the length of the voyage.
Okay.
We also use the same champagne that we use on board. We use on amenities. So again, this too is an extension of the Seabourn cruise experience.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So we'll talk about. Oh, do you have any questions on that or
No,
comments?
no, no. I think we're good. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Great.
So as we're rounding towards the end of the, just want to remind you that we do have a couple of promotions that are due to expire in a few days, but we will extend them. One of them is the Book with Confidence, and this is that any guest who makes a book between now and the 20th, but again, this will be extended, will be able to cancel up to 30 days before the voyage, receive 100 future cruise credit for any monies that they may have been penalized.
Wow.
So they're never going to really lose that money. It'll roll over into a future cruise credit.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Absolutely. We also have our Sensational Suite Savings promotion. This too is due to expire on the 20th, but it will updated again. It will be updated as the Black Friday sale, and it'll also be updated after that at the beginning of December. And this really is on just about every voyage, and you'll have reduced deposits. There are upgrades between ocean views and verandas, shipboard credits as well. So minutes for the internet. So this is available on virtually every sailing. And then finally, we have the 10% savings, and this will be extended I believe until February the 1st.
Okay.
And this will allow our guests to pay in full by, technically it's November 10th, the 20th, but eventually it'll be February 1st to receive an additional savings.
Okay.
So we want to make sure, and because some guests may say, well, why do I want to pay now if I'm sailing November or December of next year? Well, you have the book with confidence. So, you're never going to lose that money. So should there be a cancellation or you're not going to lose the monies with
Right.
Seabourn. So you can
Right.
pay early.
That's
So this is
great.
one of the here, and you'll see if you've been on Seabourn, I have to tell you anything else. I mean, you that it's a product that has earned some of the finest accolades in the industry. And if you haven't been on Seabourn, this will show you that we've been #1 in virtually every publication, Condé Nast, Cruise Critic, you name it, we've come in as best of the best. So I encourage you to join us in 2021 and beyond. We love to welcome you on board Seabourn.
Yeah.
All right, Robin.
Oh, that's great. You're probably like, oh, I need to stop talking now.
No, no, not not at all. I
Let
gotta
me,
say I enjoy I enjoy the product. I enjoy really selling Seabourn.
mhm.
There's definitely to it where that you're offering a fantastic experience and the guests don't complain. When
Right.
I have there's no complaints. The guests love it and or it's really a special product.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly. When you believe in something and it's good, it's easy to stand behind and say that. That's for sure. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So if you had your choice of all these choices, what would be first on your list? Which one would you do first?
Well, we didn't talk about it, but it is available, and that would be Australia, New Zealand. That
Yeah.
is absolutely on my bucket list, maybe because it's so far. And I just have grand visions of what Australia and New Zealand it looks like. And I'm just, that is on my list, and it will happen. I know it
Okay.
will happen.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, I am a huge fan of Australia. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And I told you in our call that I had lived there for a while. And yeah, I'd say that would be a great choice. Absolutely. Recommend
So
that.
join me, everybody, when we go over to Australia. We'd love to have a nice
Yeah,
little trip
yeah.
there.
Well, it needs to like get a group together and sail around the
Absolutely.
world or do the Northern Lights or the Mediterranean or I mean any of these things. So yeah, I would encourage anybody that's watching here that has a group of friends or family that doing a trip like this will be something that would just be a memory to last a lifetime for all involved. Absolutely. So tell me maybe a funny story or something that's happened when you've been sailing, when you've been on one of these trips. What's something that people might get a laugh out of?
Well, I'm not sure if it's a laugh, but the first time I sailed, I got on board. Actually, I was giving a tour that day, so I gave the tour. I then dropped my luggage and I went to my suite, and my suite stewardess showed. Totally forgotten that we offer a soap concierge service, which is basically we offer you 5 different soaps to use, and we're talking about Hermes, we're talking about these fantastic brands. So the suite stewardess knocks on my door, and I said, "Hi, how are you?" She introduced herself, and she has this silver tray with these 5 soaps, and says, "Which, Mr.
Nice.
Fundora, which would you like to use during your
Hmm.
voyage?" And I looked at her and I thought, well, should I be funny? And I said, well, I'm an employee, so maybe you can give me all of. Looked at me, she said, okay, I'll give you all of them. So anybody who travels, if you tell them that you're an employee, you
Yeah,
may
yeah.
get them.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, like I shared with you before, I think I'd take the line of, well, I have to try them all because I've got to be able to tell my future clients what
Oh,
what the
absolutely.
possibilities are. So
Absolutely. And whoever sails has to tell their friends
yeah,
about it as well. So I
yeah.
get it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. Well, it just sounds too good to be true, but it's not. It's there. It is true. And the opportunities are incredible as well right now. So, I know that there are a lot of people that aren't ready to actually go right now, but I personally believe there's a lot to be said for putting some hope on your calendar or something to look forward to on your calendar. And all the protections you're offering just seem to me like, you're going to get to go at some point for sure. So for me, I'd love to have something like that to look forward to. So hopefully some people out there might as well. So yeah.
I agree. I think the philosophy see something that you like at an incredible deal or an incredible offer,
Yeah,
advantage of it now, because chances are, if it was until next year, and then possibly the sailings will not be available, and the pricing will definitely not be available.
exactly. Exactly. Right. Okay. Well, thank you for spending this time with us. I'm grateful. I appreciate it. And we'll hopefully get to gather back again when sailing is happening and talk about it some more when things are back in action. So,
Thank you, Robin. Thank you so
okay.
much to you and everyone who's watching. And I encourage them to call you and ask good questions about Seabourn. We love to board.
Great.